Well, hello everybody. I'm fairly sure this isn't the worst idea I've ever had, but it might be in the top 5. Have an intro, such as it is. That's right, I've decided to return to the SNES and other similar early systems just for one little bit to do this game. Oh, Nasir will die as he lived, gaping in disbelief. That's right, this time we are taking on Lagoon, an action RPG that was released very early on for the SNES. It was almost a launch title. Oh, plot. Okay, nice for a cloak, by the way. Clearly, the muddy water is the sign of something evil. I'm beginning to wonder about your logic there, old man. Okay, Lagoon was originally developed by Zoom Entertainment for the Sharp X68000 computer system, and we've run into that computer before. Now, it was originally designed as a fairly average East clone, and I'm fairly sure the plot had nothing to do with muddy water, because take a look at how foul and filthy that crystal blue water is. By the way, there used to be a crucifix on that altar, but only in the Sharp X68000 version. That crucifix is gone even in the Japanese version of this game. However, the translation of this game tends to run in screaming terror from the Nintendo of America censorship guidelines. To demonstrate, we'll go to the mayor's house. The worship site. That is to say, the church. You see, Nintendo used to censor anything involving religion fairly heavily, which makes Breath of Fire 2 all the more perplexing. Yeah, we're looking for this dude. You're under arrest. So is the music. He just says, pant, pant. Sorry I flipped through that one so quick. Oh my god, it's the intro to Wanderers from East. What are you doing in Lagoon? The cleric, that is to say, the priest. So that's 2 for 2 on the running in terror from the censorship requirements. But don't worry, we'll be going 3 for 3 later on in this video. There are definitely some differences between the Sharp version and this version. Very much in the storytelling. For example, in Atland, in the original, you could actually visit Nasir's house, and Nasir's sister actually is a recurring character throughout the game, but all of her parts were completely cut for some reason, I don't know. The thing is, there's nothing about the SNES hardware that couldn't handle a simple full port. Oh, I guess so. You're the only adventurer in the quadrant. Okay, I can put those... Well, I'll do my best to wear them with courage. Okay, that shop with the swords in front of it is the armor shop. Now, something about this game is that, aside from the initial equipment, which I'm going to equip now, you only ever buy 2 other pieces of gear throughout the whole game. All of the other weapons and armor you have to find. You can only buy 2 other pieces of armor, and those pieces of armor are actually the only things in the game that are really worth spending any money on. So, before then, you're basically saving up all of your money to buy those 2 pieces of armor, and after you buy those 2 pieces of armor, there really isn't any use for money in the game anymore afterwards. Okay, this is our sword. As I said, or didn't say, well, we'll figure it out later. The sharp version of Lagoon was basically an average East clone that might have used a few pointers on dungeon design, and in that vein it actually used East 1 and 2's bump system, basically. In this game you have an attack button, but your range is not that much better than it was under the bump system. You see, it's very difficult to judge what the hitbox of your weapon is because it's actually slightly smaller than your sword. And I have to admit, we were told it was a short sword right from the start. To really get into the nuts and bolts, Lagoon has a rather quirky damage formula, and by quirky I mean completely borked. You see, what the game does is, instead of comparing attack and defense and deciding on a cutoff value for minimum damage, it derives a number from the monster's defense value, compares your attack to it, and if your attack is below this derived value, you will do the 2 pity damage. If your attack is above the derived defense value, the formula proceeds normally, which can lead to some very unintended results, because for every monster in this game, there's a small range of values that Nasir can have, where he will actually do 0 or 1 damage, instead of the pity 2 he would get. So in some places, against certain bosses, if you haven't been super conscientious about grinding, it's actually possible to do less damage with a higher attack power. I'd hope I could have fought a bit more gracefully in this initial video, but Lagoon is a game where horrible things happen for no reason and dignity does not exist. So in any case, I've gone the completely wrong way, because Lagoon is not especially big on distinct dungeon layouts. There are no especially good landmarks you can use to navigate by. It's not especially bad in the gold mine, however it will get pretty bad in a couple of other dungeons, including the one that we have to go to after this, and some parts of the next to last area in the game. So anyway, our mission is to rescue Giles, and we needed to pick up that healing potion we found earlier. As tempting as it might be to use it, the healing potion does not restore actually that much hit points at all. In fact, the item is pretty much useless after this dungeon. Because, well, I'm just gonna show you when we get there. By the way, I also gained a level. Did you hear the message? If you didn't, it's not because you're deaf, it's because there isn't one. Lagoon will not inform you when you've gained a level. The most you can do is stand still and see if your MP go above their previous max. Which also reminds me of something else. Your hit points can regenerate anywhere. They regen much faster in town, but slower in dungeons, when you stand still. However, if you stop walking every few frames or stutter stepping, the game will think you're standing still, so you can regenerate hit points while remaining mostly on the move. Those clouds are really low flying. I'm not sure they're even clouds. Okay, we need the healing potion to give to Giles, so he will follow us in one of the slowest escort missions known to RPGs. The thing is, if you've actually used the healing potion as an item, you have to go back to Atland and buy one. Plus, I think there's another one in the cave. I won't even be bothering with the other chests in this dungeon because they give a fairly paltry amount of gold. Also, his pathfinding is not the best. Oh dear. Yeah, we were given gold to wear as equipment, and our first quest is an escort mission. Truly, Lagoon is very efficient at setting up the tone of the game to follow. In any case, I did memorize the maps for this area, so I'm going to be doing this escort mission the fastest that it could possibly be done. I'm gonna let that sink in for a while. Anyway, you saw that monster bounce off me? That's because I have a shield equipped. If you're not attacking and ram into a monster from the front, well, with your front, you will actually push them back, which is useful for cornering some monsters or whatever. But not so much monsters that have completely random movement. The one saving grace of this escort mission is that Giles doesn't have to be right behind you before you go through doors. He can actually be a pretty fair distance and still register as following you. Since the game didn't actually do a particularly good job of informing you the whole backstory at the beginning, here is the short form. Gods defeated a big evil bad. To prevent the big evil bad's return, they sent two children to the world of men. The Child of Light and the Child of Darkness. One of them was taken and raised by the wizard Matthias, who we saw in the intro, who is conclusion jumping man. And the Child of Darkness was taken and raised by the evil wizard Zara. And now demons, so we have a bit of an idea of where that's going to go. We should be coming to the end of this escort mission pretty soon. Thankfully, it's the only lengthy one of its kind in the whole game. By the way, this escort mission did not actually exist in the Sharp version. Oh yeah, another reason that the bump system worked in the original Sharp version of this game is because Nasir actually had a faster walking speed. Okay, and there we go. The Old Woman Faith Healer. And off he goes at normal walking speed, presumably because of town regenerate, I guess. In any case, since all of the houses are rather nondescript, Giles will be helpfully standing outside of the house of the Old Woman Faith Healer. By the way, that shop with the pot, that's the item shop, but it's called the weapon shop. By the way, it took me a little while to figure out exactly what he was talking about with Old Lady Out Faith Healer, but I figured out eventually that that was just censorship for Exorcist. Anyway, since we've established Lagoon, it's time to finish up, because next time we are going to be trying to fight a boss. This is not a particularly smart idea, but we'll be trying it anyway. See you then!